What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Matt Ryan Show. Mr. Hargrove, it's been a full week of NBA basketball. How are you doing today?
Maybe the best opening week of NBA that I can remember. And the best part about it is the stars are starring Ryan Good. They have been amazing. But the games have been awesome, and we should have known that it was going to be an awesome week because the first game of the season went into double OT. Can't beat it. Can't beat it.
The defending champions have now played 2 double overtimes on their first 2 games. They are, again, 3-0 to start the season as expected, but has not been easy as a path as they might have thought. So we've got plenty to discuss. The episode that we recorded last week may have been the longest one we've ever recorded.
How long did it officially go?
It was a good 2:30, 2:20 maybe.
2:30, so we didn't get to the 3-hour mark.
No, we're still working on that. And
there's enough... Some of those podcasts like Bill Simmons and those guys, I mean, they'll run 3 hours. What is so impressive, pat ourselves on the back, what is so impressive is I would assume that when Bill Simmons and all those guys do like 3-hour long podcasts, you know, they have the kind of ad breaks in the middle. I would assume they do like an hour and then go on a break. We just straight up 2.5 hours. We're looking at each other talking ball.
Yeah. Some say it's a greater feat for us to accomplish that.
Some say it might be the greatest accomplishment I've ever.
Some say ours is higher than Bill Simmons' podcast. I don't know. People are talking.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be the worst accomplishment ever. Me trying to compare ourselves to Bill Simmons. So, but yeah, that was a long one.
We've got plenty on the docket this week, though. Don't expect too much shorter this week. We've got some gambling issues to discuss. We've got the first week of the NBA season. We've got college basketball coming back. Who's going to be the number 1 pick? We've got plenty to discuss, not to mention our awards coming at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. Mr. Hargrove,
before we get into it, want to make sure we give a shout out to our sponsors, FanDuel, DraftKings.
Yeah, thank you for taking all of our money, and we'll see you again this week. We'll try to get you back, so we appreciate them. I'm going to ask you real quick before we get fully started. What's the over/under on weeks that it takes for me to get this second wall up, or this picture on the wall? And then second portion of that question is, how many weeks after that does it take to get an actual jersey in these?
Let's actually have a running bet first to actually get. See, I've had jerseys up, but they're just hanging over my washer and dryer door. So the first one actually gets something hung up behind them, just gets bragging rights. So I can't bet money because I've already, on top of you and your soon-to-be wife. Now, after last night, I have given you guys plenty of money over the last couple of years.
So let's say you're not
bragging rights now.
Some would say you're not a betting man, but so we do know a few people that are. So we'll go ahead and jump into the good old Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier incident, we'll call it for now. This happened right after we recorded. We recorded on Tuesday. This happened Thursday morning. The news broke. Just an insane whirlwind of emotions that came out immediately. The first thing that came out was the Terry Rozier, who has allegedly been caught for basically betting against himself and betting his unders, or having his friends bet his unders, and then either leaving with injuries that are fake, or it's pretty much a Jontay Porter situation, just a little bit bigger because this guy's making $26 million, which apparently is not enough. The alleged gambling winnings were anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000. Again, guy's making 26. Maybe I'm the bad guy, I don't know. Who doesn't want a quick extra buck? Just an interesting story. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of takes on whether the sports gambling world has become too integrated with the actual sport itself. They used to be 2 completely separate things, and now pretty much on every NBA commercial, every ESPN show, you see a gambling ad. So where are you at with the whole situation, and where do you think this takes the NBA and future sports? Because I don't think this is done with just the NBA.
Yeah, to be honest with you, well, first of all, on the whole situation, so yeah, Terry Rozier, with him getting paid $26 million and playing the consistency that he is, it feels like a much bigger deal than the Jontay Porter one, obviously, because Porter wasn't really playing at all. Damon Jones was also involved in this betting. Now, as I understand it, these 2 separate cases, Jones and Rozier, are different than Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups' situation, he was actually working with the Mafia, which was the craziest story. And
didn't even know they were still around.
Yeah, I mean, that's that's where I was shocked was you hear mafia nowadays, and you're like, the only time that you really see the mafia is, you're watching like a these movie 1950s movie. So you hear mafia and you're just thrown back. Like what does the mafia look like nowadays? Are they showing up in casinos? Are they decked out like the Peaky Blinders? Are they easy to? But I can't believe that the mafia is still a thing with all of the technology that the FBI and the CIA has, or whoever really is involved with that. That's probably another conversation for another podcast. But it sounds like Chauncey Billups was the front man for the mafia. He would kind of bring in these high money players that he knew, and Chauncey Billups knew that these games would be rigged, and he would introduce them to who these people obviously did not know were involved with the mafia and were cheating these games, and then these people were losing a lot of money. So Chauncey Billups was, it sounded like he was that front man. But the whole situation with I guess the betting and the NBA and all of these companies picking it up, I hate it, but at the same time, it is what it is, because it's no different when you think about it than beer commercials. And you watch a game on ESPN and they say this broadcast is sponsored by Bud Light or something. Alcohol is just as bad and as serious as gambling. But nobody's talking about how when you see a Budweiser commercial on an NBA broadcast, everybody's like, oh, has alcohol gotten out of control? Nobody's talking about that. So I feel the same way about betting. It's just as bad as alcohol, but for some reason, it's just now really getting into the forefront where all of these companies are like, oh, we can seriously make a ton of money. I hate, and I know this is kind of a long-winded answer, so I apologize. And if you've listened to this podcast, you've kind of gotten used to it. But last thing I will say, I do hate how ESPN is using like betting, because they're supposed to be a media company. And there's some, I don't know, betting, and you're supposed to be about the truth and journalistic integrity. I don't know if those two go together. But the betting is different than the alcohol, because, kind of like you were mentioning, betting has to do with the actual game. You can't throw a game with, can't throw a moon.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned the Chauncey situation, and we were going to get into that. But the biggest, craziest thing, I didn't even know there was X-ray tables, which is apparently what was being used, and then there was some night vision glasses that they were wearing that they could see through the cards, that were specific cards, of course, that had some like blue light on the back to where you could see through them. So the whole thing was rigged just to get a little bit more money. Again, a lot of these guys are making tens of millions of dollars. Chauncey, who's made plenty in his career, and is still, a coach. It's just like risking, not only your job, but now your family. You can go to jail. Apparently, the FBI has been looking at this for 3 years. NBA allegedly had no idea until it comes out later on that they apparently knew about the Terry Rozier situation, swept it under the rug, basically told him to sit out the rest of the year when he was with Charlotte. And then that was kind of his slap on the wrist until the FBI got involved. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's an easy job at all. Adam Silver's got one of the toughest jobs in the world, but I can't agree with a lot of things that he's done. Not that I agree with everything David Stern did, but Silver there's something about him that just makes me feel like he knows way too much, and yet we are so left out. Like David Stern would sweep everything under the rug, and then you would never hear about it again. Adam Silver is like, he's got some stuff under there, and it's going to come out eventually. I just don't know when. It's just weird feeling with him, but this whole situation is just, it's going to get out of hand. I can't imagine this being the last of them. I can only assume that there's more athletes, and not necessarily NBA players, but there's more athletes that the FBI is most definitely looking at. So it could get real interesting as far as where this goes. I would like to see one thing, and that is, if you're going to make this gambling thing global and you're going to promote it everywhere and everybody gets to do it except for the players who play in it, which I agree with, let the players gamble on everything except for their own game. And now that could get convoluted because, you've got buddies in the league, you've got this, and this. But, you're at the point now where you've got guys betting against themselves or friends betting for the players. You've got college athletes that are now allowed to bet on pro sports legally. So, like, the chances of guys getting college athletes to be their bookie seems like it's right there. So, I don't know. It just seems way too convoluted and too there's too many ways it can go wrong in this landscape, to where you've kind of let it go too far now, to where you're gonna have to find a foolproof plan to where you can look at everybody's bets no matter what it is, to see what's going on. It's even then it's still bad because if you bet on yourself, you could become a ball hog and shoot 45 shots if you bet yourself to score 30, and it ruins the integrity of the game.
Yeah, that's the worst part about it is, us as fans, we want to think that these players are playing to win 100% of the time. And we want to think that, if our team does win a game or loses, it's because of how talented they are or how prepared they were. And we don't want to find out, 2 years later that it was all rigged. And then, NBA is not the only sport that you worry about that end. NFL, there's always, calls late in the game that you're like, how in the world how in the world does the ref not see that? My biggest pet peeve in sports is how referees are not interviewed after a game. It doesn't make any sense and just furthers the belief that it would make sense if you believe that the commissioner or the higher ups in each league have something to do with games being rigged. Because it would make sense if, somebody tells a referee, hey, if you can find a spot, we really need a pass interference here to sway things. And it's kind of like the league being like, hey, if you help us out here, we won't make you answer for any of these calls. And
Well, that's because they're in a union.
yeah,
So
and
they're
we'll
allowed to
even
do
make
it.
it so to where if a player or a coach has a problem with it, then we'll fine them. So it's it just doesn't seem right, and it sucks. But I don't see how unless the FBI can figure out a massive scandal even bigger than this Chauncey Billups thing that everything's going to stay the same.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. There's so much to unpack in that, and we are way unqualified to be speaking on most of this stuff. But I don't know.
We need to know some FBI informant that we can have on the podcast and have.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the outreach will get there to get a little FBI agent on the phone. I'm sure
there's
our fans
of
will.
them here in Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm sure our fans will love to help us reach that. No, but it's a scary way to go down this path because you start to worry about who all's doing it, not if they're doing it. It's who is actually doing it. So it's a way scarier sight that way than when you were kind of blind to it and didn't know if it was going on. Interesting stuff. But after that, boy, did we have a week of basketball. It was some of the most entertaining basketball games that I've seen for an opening season, maybe ever. We have so many storylines, so many things to talk about. The first thing that I want to go over, and this is more personal to me, I don't want to overreact, but shout out to Pat McAfee. I think that I really royally screwed up on my picks over the year. So I had an off-season thought and prediction, and we are a week in the season, and I already regret it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did pick the Orlando Magic to make the NBA Finals. And you may say, oh, we're 3 games in. Why do you care about that now? If you watch the games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The reason I thought Orlando would get to the finals is because I thought Paulo was going to take that next step. Paulo has not taken that next step, and you can see it. It's evident in his shot selection. It's evident in his percentages. It's evident at the end of games. They had 2 close games, one of which they won, which is the first one, that he had a chance to close out, and he took a fadeaway mid-range shot that was about 15 feet short. And then he took another shot, again from the mid-range, that did not hit. And that was under a minute left to really seal the deal in that first game for Orlando. Then he had a game where they blew it against Atlanta. He had a chance to tie the game or take the lead. It was a 2-point game. He took a fadeaway 3 from about 30 feet with 8 seconds left in the game clock and the shot clock. There was no shot clock. That right there tells me that he does not have a go-to shot at the end of games or in big moments, to where he knows he can get something off. Kevin Durant, some of these, LeBron, all these guys have a go-to shot that they know if there's 10 seconds left and I get the ball, no matter which side of the floor I'm on, I can get to a spot that I know I can do this move, I can do this combo of moves. If the defender's doing this, I can get this way, to where I know for a fact I'm at least getting the shot off, and then I'll live with the result. It's hard to live with a fadeaway 30-footer to win the game. It's hard to live with that as a 6'11 forward. That's where the difference for me between a guy like Paulo and a guy like Wembanyama, obviously 2 different, very different players, but the offseason growth is night and day between a guy who, Wembanyama, rookie year, even last year, was taking 8, 10 threes a game, to opening night scores 40 when taking 2 threes. Like, just the difference of knowing your game and knowing that you can be unstoppable at this point of attack, this position. It sucks that I kind of expected him to be that, and my expectations were a little too high, apparently.
I don't think it's an overreaction because we're 3 games in. So, yeah, it might just be a first week, little jittery. Expectations have never been higher for the Orlando Magic in probably a decade. So maybe he feels the weight of that. But you're right, the stats have not been good. He's averaging the most field goal attempts this week for the Magic. He's shooting 34% from the field and then 17% from three.
It's not the percentages for me either. It's just simply the shot selection, and especially the not having a go-to shot. As a star player, you got to have a go-to shot. He doesn't have.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing too, is maybe that's why you see those shot percentages are low, because of the shot selection. And it is a shame because Franz and Desmond Bane, they seem like they've had some pretty good starts to the season. They're getting some help off the bench from Tristan Da Silva, who we actually highlighted as a really nice bench piece in the preview show. So yeah, I think it's still an overreaction. Long season, 3 games in, they still found a way to win. If it was an 0-3 start, I think I would maybe be seeing what you're coming from, but they can go 3-0 this week and turn things around. But
I think
I think it's just I think it's overreaction because that's a lot of pressure picking the Orlando Magic to go to the NBA Finals.
Listen, I get it. Again, it wasn't the stats or the record or the whatever. It was just the eye test for me that just made it seem like you can tell they're not there yet. And that's fine. That's on me. I set the expectation. I should be able to live with the result. I'll take hand up accountability. That's on me. Is there a chance they still make the NBA Finals? There is a chance. We're still a week into the season. Do I think Paolo's going to be
everybody makes it?
Yeah. I mean, go Zards. Do I think that that realistic scenario is going to happen because of the eye test? No. I mean, first week of the season, that go-to shot should be automatic because nobody knows that that's what you've been working on in the offseason. You should have a shot that you can get to in the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks that everybody's like, oh, that's new. That's something he's been working on in the offseason. So just didn't see that. Wasn't happy with it. That's where we're at.
Yeah, that's a pretty good overreaction. If I had one for the first week, my overreaction, it is an overreaction. The Boston Celtics are the worst team in the Eastern Conference.
Some people would have called that in the
overreaction.
First previews. If somebody goes and watch the preview episode, they would.
It is. Yes, you said the Celtics. I said the Celtics would make the playoffs, just being the Celtics, and they still have 2 All-Stars in that lineup. Now, the thing is, what we talked about with Boston is we did want to see how Jaylen Brown was going to operate as the go-to. And actually, Jaylen Brown has been great. He's putting up, his shooting numbers are phenomenal, but it is the supporting cast. That center, so they're actually, we thought it was going to be Chris Boucher in the starting lineup. It's
No.
Keita, or Kawhi, I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's been the starting center, and pretty much every night when I go through and look up the box score of the game, he's not even in double digits for rebounding, so that might be an issue.
Well, here's a stat for you. The Boston Celtics, through 3 games, again, overreaction, through 3 games, they have given up the most offensive rebounds to the opposite team as anybody in the NBA. Part of that is because, like we talked about, I had a feeling Keita would start. I knew for a fact that you couldn't lose. Even Tatum. People don't realize Tatum averages like 8 to 10 rebounds a game. That's 8 to 10 that are gone just like that. And you got Jaylen Brown playing your power forward now. It's a whole different ball game when you take Al Horford, Kristaps, Jason Tatum off the roster, and now you've got Keita, Jaylen Brown, and Chris Boucher to kind of fill that void. So it was always going to be a struggle for them. Jaylen Brown's been good. It's good to see. I'm waiting to see when some of these teams lock in on him. I mean, Derek White can be a flamethrower. Peyton Pritchard can be good. Can they be good when they're the 2 or 3 option instead of the 5 or 6? So
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is Jaylen Brown needs more help. Peyton Pritchard, he's got to step up. Derek White's got to step up. With the Celtics, if they do have a god awful year and they finish bottom 5, bottom 10 in the league, we already know who's going to be the MVP in 2027. It's Jason Tatum, because Jason Tatum's going to come back. Celtics will be a top 3 team in the East, and I cannot wait for the arguments of, well, Jason Tatum just took a team that was bottom 5 in the Eastern Conference to a top 3 in the East. If Jason Tatum averages like 26, 8, and 4. So,
Well, what it will do this year is it'll shut up all the haters, all the Tatum haters, and say they'll say, oh, well, he had a stacked team, and maybe he did. Boston Celtics did have a tremendous team, but what you can fall back on is, yeah, but without Tatum, that team is a bottom 5 team in the NBA if it becomes true, versus what they are with him that next year. So he's got a chance to really prove himself. Obviously, Achilles tear is something completely different. It's so hard to tell how people come back from that. Obviously, Clay is. I think I lost you.
You got me?
Yep, my fault. We're back.
Sorry, I apologize. My father tried to call me. So,
Damn you, Tim.
Yeah. So I know what he's wanting to talk about too. So the conversation will hold for later.
Go Steelers.
But on the Celtics, it's actually not going to get any easier this week. The next time that we have a podcast, which we're assuming is going to be next Monday, that'll be November 3rd. So this week, tonight, they have to play the Pelicans. And then they got the Cavs, 76ers, and Rockets. So there is a legitimate shot that they will start the season 1-6. And it is a very long year, but starting the season 1-6 is just not ideal, especially starting in a tough Eastern Conference. So overreaction, they're definitely not the worst team in the Eastern Conference, but yeah, the rebounding, the worries that we did have about, especially you had about coming into this season about the Celtics, it looks like they're there for the start of the season.
Well, it's not great, and we'll wrap it up with this, but I mean, they're one injury away from just being a bottom feeder.
Oh, man. Well, especially, man, Jaylen Brown tweets something and goes out. They seriously. But
if they have a 3-week stretch without Jaylen Brown, it could get ugly.
Yeah, but that's the thing is this Celtics team, I think they would take not winning the finals this year and just having a god-awful season if that meant in 2027 they have a top 5 pick. Potentially they fall into the lottery and get that kid from BYU.
Oh, okay. Now we're going that far now?
Well, I'm just being dead serious. I wouldn't be surprised if Celtics fans are thinking that far.
Do they even have their own pick, though?
Oh, yeah, you're right. They might.
Let me look it up. I don't even know if they have their own pick.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised considering how good the Patriots are doing this year. So they're Boston fans are probably like, well, we have football to fall on. Let's just focus on the Pats. And the Celtics are secondary this season.
So, wow. They do own their own pick. Okay. Good for them. Good for you, Brad Stevens.
So that's the thing. Mavericks got Cooper Flag. Why not the Celtics? They end up getting top 3 pick in the draft. 2027, you get Jason Tatum back, and then there you go. You got a top 3 pick with Jaylen Brown and Tatum.
It's a good segue because I did want to mention those college players because we have one of the most fun NBA/college seasons coming up this year, and it's only exhibition week, so everybody's going to kind of show out, but we have a race for the top pick, and we haven't had one like this in a while. I mean, you've got the few names, of course, are Darren Peterson, AJ Debinsa, and Cameron Boozer, and boy, all 3 of them have shown out in their exhibition games. Cameron Boozer, I think, put up 24 and 23 last night just for fun against Tennessee. So every one of them is playing competition and still putting up elite numbers. You've got Kentucky who beat number 1 Purdue, and Kentucky's more of a team rather than a guy. You've got Purdue who had Braden Smith. I mean, we've got guys that are good in college, and then we've got guys that are going to go to the league. It could get a real interesting, by the time we get to July, that's when the draft. By the time we get to January, February, it could heat up as far as talks about who's going to get the number 1 pick, who's going to be the number 1 pick. A lot can change from now to then, but as of right now, it's a very exciting time. Not to mention the fact, this first week in the NBA, it's been without #him, LeBron James. Like people always worried about what's going to happen when LeBron and Steph and KD and all these guys retire. You're finally starting to see some of these young guys step up and become stars, which is really encouraging for the league.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I love LeBron. I love LeBron James. When he leaves, it's going to suck. But yeah, the league is in a really good spot. I think the thing is about LeBron leaving is we just haven't had that guy who, Jordan had the dynasty and then LeBron James won 4 rings and Steph won 4 rings. So I guess that's the thing is we're looking for somebody if Shea wins a ring this year and has back to back, well then there you go. There you're shaking your head, but
You know who it's going to be. You know it has nothing to do with the rings and has everything to do with popularity, who the fans like.
who are
Who,
you
like
saying?
it's going to be Wemby. You know it is.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But
Even before he wins the championship, it's going to be him. Like if
well,
he
yeah, it was
plays
honestly
this
it was
year,
LeBron. It was LeBron before even before when LeBron was in Cleveland. Everybody looked at LeBron as
every Kobe had just come off a three-peat, and everybody's like, "Oh, who's this LeBron guy?" Like,
yeah, yeah.
everybody's gonna. So like, you can win all the championships in the world, and Shea's has one, and Jokic has one. I just don't think if Wembanyama is anything like he's shown the last week and even the last year or two, it's going to be him. He's gonna be the face of the league. He kind of embraces it a little bit. It is different because he is from France, so like I don't know the last time we've had a foreign player be the face of the league, if ever. It's an exciting time, and we can go ahead and talk about him because what a
Yeah.
week he had. It's the week of the 7-footers. We've had him and Giannis have just been on a tear so far. Just a quick overview of the stats so far for Wemby this year. 3 games, of course, so grain of salt. Averaging about 33.5 points per game on 57% field goal percentage, 36 from 3, with 13 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 6 blocks a game. Obviously going to be defensive player of the year if healthy all year. The question is, because he had the most blocks last season with only playing 40 games or whatever he played. The question is, 1, can he stay healthy all year? And 2, the offensive performance, can that keep an uptick? I don't think he's going to be scoring 35 a night, but if you can get around that 26, 27 and kind of up those assist numbers, it's going to get real scary for everybody in the West.
Yeah, man, watching that Mavericks game, it was the first game of the year, but
Well,
it was so special because that Mavericks team is supposed to be defense first. And Anthony Davis, even though I consider that he's past his prime, he is not the Anthony Davis from 2020 when the Lakers won the finals. He's still a really good defensive center and probably definitely one of the better defensive bigs in the league. And Wimby was giving it to him. And the best move that he had was he did a couple of crossovers, backed him down, turned around, pump fake. Davis fouled him, and then he hit the mid range.
Yep.
Because if Wemby has the mid range, then we know he can shoot the 3 and he can drive. But he was getting those looks against a really tough Mavericks defense. But the coolest thing about Wemby was it really looks like he matured. The thought process offensively, and you know the best, like one of the best things about him is when you watch him play is the urgency. Like it really does look like he wants to win and he's not just out there 21 years old trying to put up stats. Like he really wants to hone his craft. I mean, you don't go into the offseason trying to be a monk and want to be great at what you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
Should have seen the signs.
he was special. That whole team was special this week. Dylan Harper,
Shout out.
pretty solid. 16, 5 and 4.
And he struggled in game 1. And he struggled his first game.
He
and
wasn't good.
he bounced back, though.
Yeah, he did. Stephon Castle was great. The 2 guys they have coming off the bench with Dylan Harper and Keldon Johnson, man, if they can find because those 2 guys, if you got 2 guys coming off the bench who can give you about 15 a game, I mean, that's pretty solid. So,
And I say he struggled, but early on he struggled. I mean, he finished with like 15, shooting like 50%.
Yeah,
but
the first few minutes, I want to say that he was in. It really looked like the game was a little too quick for him, and he just didn't have a feel. Which
And it happened in the Pelicans game too.
I
I mean, he
totally
went
did.
3 for 12 in the Pelicans game, 1 for 5 from 3. It's the Nets game. The game. What is this? Yesterday, 20 points, shooting 8 for 11 from the field, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals off the bench.
Yeah,
in 29 minutes. Like
what
that
I
is
was
a
really frustrated. Sorry to cut you off real quick. What I was really frustrated about in that first game is how the Mavericks handled Cooper, because they had him as the point guard. Well, Cooper Flag, just looking at him from the outside and from everything you hear, he's a guy's guy. He's a great teammate and he knows the game of basketball. So the Mavericks put him at point guard. Well, I would assume that Cooper Flag, knowing that he's the point guard, says to himself, okay, first game, I got to get these guys involved. And that's what he was doing that entire first half. He was doing a lot of things great, but at halftime, you're watching Charles and them, and they were talking about this too. He really had no shot attempts, and the Mavericks were struggling on offense. And then the second half, he comes out firing. But the only problem is the shots that he was taking were forced. So I guarantee you, when they went into the locker room, I bet Jason Kidd was like, hey, Cooper, don't be afraid. Come out aggressive. We want your shot making. And Cooper probably hears that and is like, okay, I need to set the tone. And was just throwing up shots in the second half. And they're just wild shots in his first game. So I think they just didn't handle him well in that first game. I was pretty disappointed in that.
Yeah, he'll get his footing. I do think playing him at point guard is definitely a choice. They couldn't handle the pressure very much during that game, and it really showed. I do think that's where having a guy like D'Angelo Russell, while he does take some ill-advised shots, he can at least get the ball down the floor without having to start your offense with 16 seconds left on the clock, which is a big deal in the league, as we know. So definitely interesting first week for both sides, Spurs and Mavs there. But I just think, I don't know, Spurs doing all that without De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if you heard their coach in that Mavericks game. They were up 20 and he was still, he's a coach. He's an NBA coach, definitely under Pop. Up 20 and he's like, I want you to step on these guys' throats. Don't give up. It's game one. I want to set the tone for this season. And you kind of like that from a guy you don't really hear about very often. So much so that I don't know his name, which is good on me. But what can you do? I just thought it was a good week for the big man. Speaking of which, Giannis is also making his case for MVP.
Yeah,
it is. I don't know if I've seen him come out to a start like this in a while. What is he? He's averaging 36.
Darn near 40 points a game.
Yeah, 36 on 70% shooting. With 16 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal and a block. He's going to have to carry this team. He's going to have to do that all year. Can he do it? Maybe not to that effect, but you could see an MVP season just from Giannis, just purely based off the team that's around.
Yeah, well, we did forget to mention this, but they have come out with the players of the week for the West and the East, and it was the two most recent guys who we've talked about. So Wemby for the West, no surprise, and then no surprise from the East, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's funny. This morning, Bleacher Report, they came out with an article. I didn't read it, but I just saw the tweet, and it brought up the conversation again. Blockbuster trades for Giannis, and who was the main team was those Golden State Warriors. And I feel like the last 2 years that has been the big thing for Golden State is how are we going to get Giannis? Because for the past 2 or 3 years, the Warriors have had a good team, but you've always said to yourself, if they can get a guy like Giannis, then they will be back. And especially if you can get this Giannis on this Golden State team, because it does look like this Golden State team. The problem is, which I feel like they can make it happen because they're older guys, how do you keep Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, Giannis? But that's the thing is if the Warriors did pull off that trade, and maybe this is really disrespectful to Milwaukee Bucks fans, because maybe Giannis does play so well that he puts them in a spot, but it's still like, even though Giannis is playing this good, how far can they go right now? So, if the Warriors do go get him, it might be a thing where they're just going to really have to rely on that starting lineup to win them games. And they might, and you might hate hearing this, but I think about it in the situation as the New York Knicks. Like, you might just have to play those starters the majority of the game and then have, because I'm trying to think of guys, you're going to have to give up picks, but what are the guys that Milwaukee would want? I think you definitely would have to give up Pods.
Yeah,
Kuminga. Which,
and then every first-round pick.
But I feel like that's not even...
It is, because in 3 years, Giannis is the exception, but in 3 years, Jimmy, Dre, and Steph most likely are retired. And then Giannis is back in the same situation of being the guy, and those first-round picks carry a lot more weight back in 2029, 2030, 2031 than they do, this year. Now, what I've liked from the Warriors as far as Kuminga is finally learning how to play in the system. We talked about this in the preview about my struggles with liking Jonathan Kuminga as a person. I don't know him, but as a player, he never fit in the system. He didn't know how to play with Steph Curry, the guy who you want to get the ball to. You use that guy's motion to kind of create more space. He finally learned how to. I don't know what happened in the offseason. I don't know if Jimmy Butler finally got to him or Draymond and basically said, "This is your career this year, being on another contract year, to prove that you can play within a system, and it will make you millions more dollars than you've got right now if you just learn how to play within it." He has been tremendous. He picks his spots. He knows when to give it up and when not to. He's playing amazing. It's hard for me to break up this core because I really like what it is, but if you can get a guy like Giannis, and if Kuminga's playing well to boost his draft capital, you got to make the move. You got to at least try. I don't know if they'll give up Giannis without having either Jimmy or Dre or, one of the big three, but it's definitely worth a shot. I don't think Giannis is going anywhere, though. I really don't. He feels like one of those guys that'll stick it out in Milwaukee and be miserable. He's like a Myles Garrett, where it's just like, yeah, I'll take the money. I'll be here in Milwaukee. I'll complain about it when it's bad, but it's the decision he makes. So that's kind of how I feel with Giannis.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating because that would be so much fun.
Oh my god, I can't even think about it.
That Golden State team, and the West would be, because then you would have the Spurs on the come up. Now you got to worry about the Warriors. It just
it's interesting though. Like, does that team work? I know that sounds crazy, but like a team with Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, Giannis, does that work?
Yeah, it does. Because
How?
you have winners on that team.
Winners doesn't equal 3 non-shooters though.
It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter in any sport. In any sport, when you have somebody like,
if you can't pass
Steph,
the ball, it's kind of hard to win in an NFL game, let alone a championship.
I disagree. I think when you have guys like Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to make it work.
I disagree.
I think weren't there conversations last year when Jimmy Butler came to the Warriors? How are they going to make that work? Jimmy Butler doesn't really. He's not a great 3-point shooter. And then the Warriors were like 27-6 or something like that when
that's
he came over.
That's 2 shooters though. And they're forcing Draymond to shoot. I don't think you can put 3 non-shooters out there, and everybody knows it, and play a team like Dallas or the Spurs and just say, hey, women, you can just sit in the paint all day because we don't have to worry about them shoot. It's basically what the Houston Rockets were last year. Filled with talent, couldn't shoot. Warriors played zone, and they couldn't shoot out of it. It gets tight when you can't shoot.
Can we not just do a bunch of 2-man pick and roll, Steph and Giannis?
You can if you're playing man, but if they're playing zone, it's kind of hard to get in between there.
Also, too, real quick on, there was a lot of zone in the NBA this week.
A lot of zone. I think because people are going to more traditional bigs who can't shoot. People forget, like, there's waves, and the first wave was the LeBron era of like, oh, well, we can either play man and sag off or play zone, or, LeBron was coming off a screen to get a mid-range shot versus when Steph got here, then everybody had to shoot. Your 5 was now 6'5" or 6'7" instead of 7'2". And then we've kind of gotten back to like where the Houston Rockets are running double bigs with Steven Adams and Sengun. Is it working at times? But there are times where the offense is just so stagnant between Sengun to Adams, Amin Thompson, 3 guys who cannot shoot, and it gets packed down there. I mean, you got 6 people in the paint now, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah. Also, too, are we shifting the conversation a little bit? Man, the 50-point games I think I'm fully confident to say that, I don't want to say this generation of basketball is better, but there is more skill than definitely the 90s. I would even say we're far enough into the future now. I would say consistently in the 2000s, there is within your top players and depth, there is more offensive skill. I don't think I've ever seen opening week where, like, do you know how special 50-point games are? Like, I always, like, growing up, I always
remember
looked
when Corey Brewer had a 50-point game, and we were like, this is the weirdest day of the NBA in my life. And now it's like, oh, if Corey Brewer scored a 50-point game, you'd be like, oh, well, everybody does now, so.
It's like, I always used to look at a 50-point game like a no-hitter. Like in baseball, like no-hitters are so, they just don't happen. And you'll get maybe, when we were in middle school, high school, younger than that, you would maybe get, I feel like 2 or 3 50-point games in a year.
A season, yeah.
And here we go. Shea, which I understand it was double overtime, but it still counts. Austin Reeves, who, what a player AR-15 has turned into.
Yep.
Luka, I pretty much count if he would have made a free throw, would have had a 50-point game. Aaron Gordon turned into
The
Steph
most
Curry.
the most impressive 50-point game in my eyes out of the 5
He
or
did,
whatever.
and you can make that argument because he did break the NBA record for consecutive threes. He made, I want to say it was 8 straight threes. That's never been done before, without a miss. 8 straight threes without a miss.
Not only that, and because I've got a take on these 50-point games, I don't think they're that impressive. And here's the reason why. If you look at the Austin Reeves one, if you look at the Luka one, if you look at the Shea one, most of these guys, if not all of them, like Austin Reeves had 23 free throw attempts. 23. Half of your points are coming off of free throws. If you can hit 22 out of 23 free throws, that's fantastic. My issue is that we're getting guys to the line 23 times in an NBA game. That used to be unfathomable to even think about that. There's way too many fouls. There's way too many head bobs.
Yeah.
Shout out James Harden, Trae Young, screw you all. I cannot stand the fact that every time you dribble down the court, all you got to do is throw your head back and somebody's going to give you something. And then by the time you get to the end of it, you're in the bonus with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter because the first 2 minutes there's been nothing but fouls. It's got to the point where 50-point games are because you're allowing 20 free throws a game. That's why the Aaron Gordon one was the most impressive because that felt like a 50-point game. That felt like one of the ones that you were talking about where you're like, we don't see that very often because you don't see a guy hit 8 threes in a row very often. You don't see a guy who's not necessarily known as a three-point shooter hit 10 threes in a game. Maybe you can blame Steve Kerr. I did for sure that night for going under every screen of Aaron Gordon's. But at some point you just got to tip your cap and say that's a hell of a game and move on. The other ones, are they impressive? To an extent, it's a little bit of there's something there that just it pisses me off that we can get to a point where 25 free throws a night is sustainable and normal. Shea's been doing it for a while. Obviously, there's the memes, but it doesn't change anything as far as you've got guys now who just they don't even look to score. We're looking for contact to get to the free throw line, and if you hit a shot, then it's like, oh well, there's an extra 3 or extra 2. But some of these guys, like that's what their game is predicated on. Luka and Shea specifically.
I know, you're right. I was watching a game the other night. I forget who it is, but it was like in the middle of the third quarter. And I think over the course of like 15 minutes in the game, probably only 2 minutes went by because you would go down to the floor, there was a foul. Go down here, illegal screen. Go down here, reach in foul. And I got to a point where I almost turned it off because I was like, there is no rhythm, fluidity. It's just choppy. And then these guys, every single possession, there is at least one guy complaining about either not getting called or they're being the call. And we're screaming at the clouds right now because this has been a conversation. This is a conversation every day, but it's insane.
How many times do you see this in a game?
Yes. And then,
For all
and
my
then you look
audio
at the
listeners,
replay,
for all my audio listeners, wagging my finger around in a circle to review the play, as if I didn't just, as if I didn't just like kill the guy right in front of me, like it was a car crash. I bulldoze his ass onto the ground, and I go, somebody got to look at that. That's insane. I didn't touch him. And it's like, at what point can we just say, if you wag your finger and you ask for a review, that's your view. You get it. You get what you want. If you want a review, you get it. Your coach doesn't decide it anymore. If you raise your finger and you say you want a review, that's your review. And if you lose it, you're done for the game. I am so tired of seeing this all the time. Between the head bob and this, I'm not sure which one I want out more. It's got to be the head bob, but this is close. This is a close second.
Yeah, it's the flopping too. The flopping's gotten terrible. Dylan Brooks had one the other night that was egregious, but the refs are not seeing it. They called a foul on it. So
Yeah. I wish they would swallow the whistle a little bit more. Like every time somebody's on the ground, every time somebody hits their head back, it doesn't automatically mean you need to blow the whistle. If you cut that out, you do it in the playoffs. Like the playoffs are the complete opposite, and that's the problem. Is you go from getting 25 free throws a night in the regular season to by the time you get to the playoffs, you're getting 9, 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And it's like that drastic of a difference that's 10 possessions right there that you usually get fouls on that you're not getting fouls on, and then you wonder, well, why is it such a they always talk about the playoff physicality. It's like, yeah, but it could be the same if you just let them play in the regular season.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who to blame it on. Do we blame it on the refs? because they're the ones that are making the calls? They
No.
don't have to, or do we blend?
It's the rule book. Whoever makes the rule book. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's Adam Silver. I don't know if it's people under him. Whoever creates the rules to make it more advantageous for the offense, that's who we blame it on. Because that's what they're thriving for 130, 140 point games in the regular season, just so that we can get back to the 190s, 100 to 90 in the playoffs. It's insane, dude. At some point, you're gonna have to adopt FIBA rules. We talk about it all the time. It's a broken record. I'm sure we sound like, but it's gotten out of control.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up who made the current NBA rule book. It just keeps giving me like, James Naismith, the inventor of basketball. Like, oh, no dip, he made the rule book, but like we're
kind of hard to blame him. He's dead. I will say, I'm going to put it on Adam Silver because he's the face. If you're going to be the face, you're going to have to come with the consequences. The consequences
so
is...
the NBA Board of Governors, so let's see who's on the board, I would assume.
Your product sucks. And he's part of the reason. Another reason I kind of have disdain for him is earlier in this offseason, they were asking him about, how do you get more viewers? How do you keep the younger audience engaged or whatever? And his response was, we're basically a clip league, which is the most asinine thing you could say. Basically saying like, we're a social media league. You're only going to see us on, like, who cares about watching the games? You're just going to see the highlights the next day anyway. And it's like, where have you lost the point of that? People actually want to watch these games because they like basketball, not the casual fan who sits there and goes, oh, what did LeBron do last night? Like, that part is, it gets what gets me.
Frustrating. Larry Tannenbaum was reelected as chairman in September of 2024. He's the governor of the Toronto Raptors.
Good.
A lot
Fuck
of people
you,
to
Larry.
blame, but there's one of the head guys that we can possibly. Larry Tannenbaum.
Thanks, Larry. Anyway, we can move on. I know you had a few things you wanted to talk about. Did you get all those out? There was a specific team you were looking for.
Yeah, so I did want to bring up the Sacramento Kings, and
Who
if you
doesn't?
watched our preview show, the Sacramento Kings was one of the few teams that we actually didn't even talk about. We were going through some teams. Every team said what we didn't like, what we did like, and we got to the Kings, and maybe for obvious reasons now, I think so after the first week, we didn't talk about them because we think they are irrelevant and they're in a terrible place. Go ahead.
Because you were always told, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. So I shut my mouth and I said, we're not talking about the
Sacramento
Kings.
Kings, they had a chance to start the season 2-1, and it is just the first week of the year, but it does a lot for the momentum. Zach LaVine has been playing terrific. He's averaging 31 points per game. But if you want to be talked about on the Matt Ryan show and have a conversation, you cannot lose at home to the LeBron-less and the Luka-less Los Angeles Lakers. I saw that Luka was out for a week, did something to his hand, I believe, and you saw it during that Timberwolves game. This is the most frustrating thing about the regular season, and you get it. Luka, he had the hand problem. He still was hitting shots in that second half and ended up scoring 49 points. And then he goes out for a week.
Yeah.
So it's like I believe, he definitely could have played in that Kings game. And that's the problem is
Clearly doesn't have to.
Clearly, yeah. We're looking, that's the problem with that people complain about in the regular season is we're looking for guys who, when they're hurt and they're on the road and there's people that are spending their hard-earned money, I'm going to have that conversation, that they're a Lakers fan, they live in Sacramento, the Lakers come to the Kings, and that's the only time they can see them. Luka's not playing, even though he can, and that's, and honest to God, I doubt it even was Luka's decision. I bet if it was Luka's, he would have been out there playing, but the Lakers probably shut him down. Anyways, this is not a Luka conversation. This is the Kings. Bad Kings. Bad. The Sacramento Kings lost that game to a Luka-less, LeBron-less at home. If you want to be taken seriously, you can't let Austin Reeves, I don't care how many free throws he gets, drop 51 points on you. DeMar DeRozan.
As the number one option.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan. And let's be real about this Lakers team. Their big three may be legitimate, probably very legitimate, with Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. But their bench is atrocious. It's awful. And DeAndre Ayton still has a rebounding problem. 7 foot. That first game of the year, he only had like 6 rebounds. And you were talking about DeAndre Ayton. So, but Zach LaVine,
Interesting.
he's doing his part. DeMar DeRozan not doing anything, and it's just kind of the same old with the Kings. So there you go. There's your Kings conversation that I guess we missed out on for the
Yeah,
preview
I
show.
hope the Kings fans were really looking forward to that one. Yeah, I mean, we talked about DeAndre Ayton in the preview video, and I had my choice words to say about what he does for an NBA team, which isn't much. This isn't about DeAndre Ayton. I do think it's kind of crazy that the Lakers can be without their 2 best players and their 3rd best guy can just come in and score 50. That is the impressive part, is that your 3rd option can be not consistently a number 1, but on a night-to-night basis be a number 1 guy just for fun. So that's good for the Lakers. Good for them. I do fear we're going to move on to the East. Did you see the Charlotte Hornets? I know you had them in the playoffs. I don't know if you watched any of their games. Just wanted to touch on them real quick. Interesting shot taking still by LaMelo Ball. Hasn't really taken that leadership role, I would say, but Brandon Miller looks good, back healthy again. Could be a fun squad. Still think they can make the playoffs. I know you're the one who
not
predicted
anymore.
that. I did not.
Not anymore.
What do you mean? Why?
Well, shoulder dislocated.
Who?
Brandon Miller.
Are you serious?
Yeah, this happened like the second game of the year.
I missed that.
Yeah. So ESPN actually just broke a story. Hornets Brandon Miller sidelined with shoulder subluxation.
Okay.
So I don't know how long I don't know how long this keeps him out, and it doesn't look like they have a timetable.
Dang.
So it says Miller started the season with 25 points. He was limited just 27 games last season. Okay, that was talking about the injury last year, but so I guess the story, he's not going to play tomorrow because of the injury.
Okay.
Miller injured his shoulder and went back to the locker room with 10:50 remaining in the second quarter during Saturday's loss. So.
Okay.
Not a doctor.
Well,
I don't know how the severity of a shoulder subluxation is going to keep you out.
Sounds pretty doctorish to me.
But, yeah, that hurts. I mean, Brandon Miller, yeah, he looked that first game of the season.
Yeah, he looked good. Him and Con Knippel. Knippel looks good.
Yeah.
That consistent piece that you talked about. So we just wanted to shout out the Hornets a little bit. Another guy, pretty sure I saw today, Anthony Edwards is out for 2 weeks due to hamstring injuries. A lot of injuries coming around the league. It's going to be interesting to see which ones are tic-tac and which ones are sustainable. I'm sure they're all hurt.
Shout out, too, to the rookie class this year.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these rookies, dude, are balling. You said Knippel.
We failed to mention Edgecombe. Edgecombe had
Edgecombe.
night one. Yeah.
34 points in your NBA debut. I don't think, honestly, I would like to know anybody who put up 30 or more points in their NBA debut.
Well, I know he broke. There's been so many records that have been broken this first week. It's kind of hard to keep up. Now, some of these stats are typical ESPN stats where it's like, oh, LeBron broke the record for having a 35-point triple-double with only 8 assists or 12 assists and 12 assists while having one shoe tied or whatever the hell. Like, they just make up shit as they go along to make it a record. But there's been a ton of records broken, whether it be by Giannis or Wemby. I know the Edgecombe one broke some sort of rookie record, but I don't know exactly what it was as far as his points go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can find it.
9. I got the one that I was looking up. So there's been 9 players now that have scored 30 or more points in their NBA debut. And there has only been one who has done it in the 21st century.
Oh, so that was
okay, yeah. That shows you how impressive. Last one to do it, if you want to take a guess, happened in 1999.
Okay.
Power forward for the Los Angeles Clippers, but most notably known for his time, I would say, during with the Lakers. He dropped 30 points. Lamar Odom.
Shout out.
Yeah, can't get anything past you. Allen Iverson also did it in 1996 in his NBA debut.
I'm glad you gave me a year. My first guess was Rick Barry, and I think I said it out loud, so I do apologize for that. An atrocious guess.
I said the Lakers thing because I was afraid, Clippers. Yeah, I don't know.
99 would have been tough.
Yeah, no shocker too. Wilt Chamberlain has the most, 43 points in his NBA debut for
tough competition.
My favorite team growing up in the 60s, I had a lot of posters on my wall of Wilt Chamberlain. The Philadelphia Warriors. I love.
Of course.
Fly, Warriors fly. So for
Yeah.
Philly. So
Philly.
love the Warriors. Those boys in the Northeast were fire.
All right. Well, unless you have anything else, I think we can get into these
No, let's
awards
go.
that we've got.
Let's get into it. Let's get into these awards.
Remind me the exact names that we gave these. It's still
All right,
week
so
one, first week
if you're
awards.
just joining us during the preview show, we have decided to come up with some awards that we're going to keep track of during the year. We have 4 of them. Let me move my camera a little bit. Oh, sorry.
And let's retake that.
All right. All right. So
I'm
the
not
4
editing
awards.
out.
I had to look at something. Hold up. The first one that we're gonna do today is the Linsanity Award. That one kind of speaks for itself. All these really speak for itself. The Linsanity Award, given weekly, we have a yearly vote. This is given to who we pick every week. Some guy that maybe you've never heard of before, and he just kind of goes off and has a Jeremy Lin week. Maybe not to that extent, but you get the gist. The other one that we're going to do this week is Cardio King. They have a game where it just kind of seems like they're running up and down the court and not doing much.
Or a few games in this case.
Yeah. The other 2, we do these monthly, so we don't have to worry about them yet. We have the shit, I thought he retired. I have one already. I have one already, actually. And it wasn't even from watching games. It was watching a halftime show. You can probably guess which halftime show it was.
Yeah.
And then
was it Chuck trying to name people on each team?
Yeah, there was a player on there, and I couldn't believe he was still in the league.
Okay. And we'll keep that one in the bank for October's award. I guess we'll do it.
It's still a long month. It's still a long month. There's plenty of basketball to watch.
Of course.
And then Traffic Cone is the other one, which we could give that out to plenty of people this week with the 50-point games. Yep. So where do we want to start? We want to go Linsanity or cardio?
Let's do let's get the cardio out of the way, and then we can speak more highly on the Linsanity.
I will say you asked me for before we started the show which one I'm most excited about or was very confident. It is the Linsanity Award. So my cardio my Cardio King one might be up for debate. I don't know, or was the one
there's not a debate. If you don't have this guy, then we will fight to the death until I win. King. Correct.
Okay. Well, I have 2, so I have 2.
You want to see how many I got?
We're making nominees.
First week of the season, I've got 12 guys who just went out there and ate shit but ran up and down the floor. That's what I've got.
Okay, I didn't make a list, so props to you. I was just kind of watching the games this week, and I was like, yeah, that's not good.
I watch these games, so I know for sure who I'm picking. Well then, go ahead. Go ahead with yours.
Let me pull up. So the first guy I got is Jay Huff.
Oh, didn't have him on the list.
Center for the Indiana Pacers. If you look at his games, he made 1 start this week. He was playing about 16 minutes, but the Pacers, after the departure of Miles Turner, really need a big to step up. And Jay Huff, as big as he is, was just doing nothing rebounding-wise. 7'1" center, wasn't doing anything, even had that 1 start. So, Jay Huff, I nominate you for one of my nominees for Cardio King. My other one, overall, he did some good things this week, but I think he just has to be on this list for one of the games, and it's D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo Russell had a game this week where, if I pull it up, it was like 3 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. NBA Central, shout out to maybe the best Twitter account.
Easily.
NBA Twitter account. He had a tweet, and it was D'Angelo Russell themed, and it said something about how D'Angelo Russell's taking time off, I want to believe, to teach kindergartners their 1, 2, 3s, and he was talking about the game that he posted. So I think, D'Angelo Russell, that game, and with the Mavericks start to this year, I'm feeling more towards my confident pick of being Jay Huff. But those are my 2 nominees for Cardio King, is Jay Huff and D'Angelo Russell.
I like those nominees. Neither one of those were the ones that I've got.
Okay.
So I'll save that for last.
Are you going through all 12, or are you just going through your top picks?
I'm just picking some of the best ones. So some ones I want to get some shout-outs to before the awards get handed out.
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Number 1 for me is a guy that nobody talks about, so maybe it's a good thing. These dudes have only played 1 game, these next 2 that I'm about to mention, so it's kind of hard to gauge off of 1 game. But the first one is Bogdan Bogdanovich for the Clippers.
Yeah.
He had 24 minutes and scored 0 points. And he had 5 rebounds and 1 assist. Good for him. But 24 minutes and not a single point. Maybe you just had an off shooting night. Or maybe you're just ass. Who knows? Other one,
I do remember seeing that.
Yeah. Colin Murray-Boyles, nobody really talks about him. He's supposed to be 1 game, and I think he's a rookie, so I'll give a pass to that one. But the 3 that I want to mention, and this is pretty big. First one, Tyus Jones. He's played 3 games so far. The 4th one is tonight. Averaging 20 minutes a game, so he's played plenty of minutes. He has a total of 4 points on the season and 5 assists on the season. 6, sorry. So he's averaging 1.3 points with a 15% field goal percentage and 2 assists a game with, a quarter of a steal. A guy that hasn't done much, some would say, has 2 scoreless games, one with 23 minutes, one with 14 minutes. I'd like to give him a shout out. He'd be in the running, but not my number 1. And then Ace Bailey's the other one. 2 games, 2 points total, 17 minutes a game, averaging a point on 10% shooting.
That's rough.
3 points. Yeah,
rookie. So a rookie like that. That's
I'll give him a pass. I'll give him a pass, rookie. Here's my 1, and this guy is in the league. He's been in the league. He should know how to play basketball. He's been on a winning team the last few years, so this is definitely a different scenery. Former Cavs player. Can you guess who it is yet?
I got a feeling, but go ahead.
I bet him to score under 3.5 points. He scored 0. If I could take under a 0.5, I would have took the under. His name is Isaac Okoro. He has played 23 minutes and 22 minutes in each game. 0 points, 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 2 in the first game. Just running up and down the floor, getting some good breathers in. During these games for the Bulls, of course, a Cleveland Cavalier legend. Think about these last few years. He's averaged 20 minutes, 27 minutes, 21 minutes, 6, 9, 8, 10, shooting 40%, 37% from 3, 50% from the field. Starting off the year with 22 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 0 on everything.
Wow.
He's got a few rebounds, so good for him. But
okay.
just a guy out there who's out there to run.
Yeah.
Some sprints.
Well, who are you most confident? I think I know who I want to officially vote for from your list.
Yeah, give me who you think.
I think it just goes along with one of the themes. We opened up the show talking about your Orlando Magic and how you were very disappointed. So I think it would be fitting if Tyus Jones is our cardio king of the week. I mean,
and I like that.
24 minutes on opening night, 0 points. And then last game against the Bulls, 14 minutes, 0 for 5, and had 1 assist. I think, given the theme of this week, I think Tyus Jones is our winner. Plus, you would like that because he's a Duke Blue Devil.
And shout out to Tyus Jones.
Congratulations.
First ever winner.
I wish this was like an important podcast or a big one so we could give him an award. Yeah. I wish we could have him on so we could interview him.
This is not to shit on Tyus Jones. I'm a big fan of Tyus Jones over here.
This is a challenge.
It's just not a great week. You just don't want to see your name twice on this list.
Got it. Well, if you see your name twice, there's a good chance you've been released. So
yeah. All right, then let's move on to your Linsanity. Shout out to Tyus Jones for winning the award. But who's your Linsanity award winner?
Yeah, my Linsanity. To be honest, I do have a.
I've got 2, so I do
have 2 as well, but I have an honorable mention. Do you want me to give you that one, and then I can go with my actual pick? Because my honorable mention,
maybe because honorable mention might be my guy.
Well, I don't know if honestly, I don't know if my Linsanity honorable mention really counts.
Okay.
But I'm going to say it. So honorable mention is Cedric Coward.
Yeah. That was my guy.
That was your dude. Your dude.
Have you ever heard of his name?
No, and that's
He's had 14 points, 16 points, and dropped 27 last night. He's averaging 22 minutes a game for a guy I've never even heard of, while shooting 72% from the 3, 70% from the field, 4 rebounds almost, 2.5 assists, almost 2 steals a game, averaging 19 points in the first week. He would have been my pick
Okay.
So I'm interested to see who else you got.
Yeah, the thing why I put Cedric Coward as the honorable mention is he still was a first round pick in
Okay.
2025. So I mean, it's not like, again, I would bet you most NBA, probably a lot of people don't know about him because that draft was so, I don't want to say top heavy because you have obviously a number 11 pick, but the names like Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg, nobody watches, all due respect, nobody watches Washington State basketball. And when you do
Correct.
watch those games, you can, through the TV, hear the shoes squeaking and the basketball hitting the floor because there's nobody there. I've watched a ton of Oregon basketball games when they go to Washington State. Pretty much just the band is in attendance. So nobody really watches Washington State basketball, no offense. So my pick, he is a second-year player, comes
that's my
off
other
the
guy.
bench for the former champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, if you know where I'm getting at, and that is A.J. Mitchell. A.J. Mitchell averaged 18.7 points per game, 26 points in a double overtime victory against the Pacers. But on top of that, he's also rebounding the basketball, and he has assist numbers. So he's averaging about 19, 4, and 4. Like, that's it. I mean, we said at the beginning of the year, if you're averaging 25 and 5, those are like all-star numbers. And he's shooting 42% from 3. A.J. Mitchell on a 3-0 team, on a stacked Thunder team coming off the bench. And I'm sure this is great news to the NBA world that the former champs have some random second-round pick from UC Santa Barbara lighting it up off their bench. So that is my Linsanity award this week is A.J. Mitchell from Santa Barbara.
Yeah. Hard to give it to him from me because you mentioned the first round pick. I'm going to mention the fact that he played in the playoffs last year. A guy who's got some playoff run, with some injuries in that depth for the Thunder. He's kind of stepped up in that role. And of course, Jalen Williams being out also kind of played a factor into that. A guy that I like to shout out, who definitely was on my list, is Keyshawn George from the, of course, Washington, D.C. Wizards. Yeah. He is averaging 20 points per game, 56, 52, respectively, splitting shoots, 9 rebounds a game, almost 5 assists a game, and a steal and a block, almost 2. Had a really impressive night against the Mavericks. Again, it's supposed to be a good defense. 34 points a game, 11-15 shooting, 7-9 from 3 with 4 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Just an insane game from a guy who was a first-round pick 2 years ago, or I guess not this past year, but the year before last. He's in his second year, really starting to make, he might be maybe a more most improved type guy, but he had a little bit of an insanity week for me.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So that was my other nominee. You had one more?
No, that was it. It was Cedric Coward and it was A.J.
Oh, we both
Mitchell.
had Cedric Coward. Okay.
Yeah, for those 2 picks.
Yeah. It's interesting. What do you want to go here?
In Coward. Because the thing is, I feel like if we both came up with that one name, it's got to be the pick.
Yeah, especially for a guy like, yes, he was the 11th pick, but he's also on a Memphis team that is struggling. And to have, and maybe I'm in the minority here of being like, having a first round pick show up like that when your team is in the dump and it's basically just Ja Morant and JJJ. Having that third option kind of come out of nowhere in the first week, it's got to be nice. So I'm fine with going there if you are.
Yeah, Cedric Coward. Now this
Shout
one
out.
is a good clap. This is the
you want to be on that list.
You definitely want Cedric Coward on the rise, according to the Matt Ryan show.
Yeah, and that's what you want. Not much more in your career you can ask for than being an award finalist on this set.
He can retire as the GOAT now.
Some could. Could have went to Duke this past year in the transfer portal, decided to go in the league, and it's paying off for him.
And it's worked out. 27 points in your third ever NBA game is it's pretty good.
Can't be mad at that.
No.
Anything else from you, kid?
No, that's it. Ready for the second week. And next time we do the pod, which hopefully again, I mean, good on us. Pat us on the back. We did say.
Yeah, can we get another clap, another round of applause for being on schedule, on time?
On schedule, maybe the
Very
first
unlike
time
us.
in a year. So hopefully this can just be a Monday thing. But next Monday, it will be opening night for college basketball.
College basketball.
We might next week, even though it'll be opening night, we might need to do a little college basketball preview.
Yeah, I'm down with that because I've got some
Because
takes.
the thing is like we don't have to do it right before the season because the big games hadn't started yet, so you can kind of get away. Like it is opening night, but I don't know if there's really like ranked on ranked. You know what I consider opening night of basketball is the
Win Classic.
Classic. That's when it feels like college basketball has started.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Even these exhibition games, though, shout out to the NCAA for allowing exhibition games to be against Division I opponents that are, where ranked teams can go play ranked teams to see where they're at.
Yeah, it's been
to watch a game like Kentucky or Purdue or Duke and Tennessee or BYU and whoever the hell they played, or, Kansas played Louisville, like just great exhibition games to see. Doesn't take anything into account. Doesn't mean the season started or that's what you should take stock into, but just a real good gauge of where your team's at to start the year. Very, very rare NCAA move that works out. So shout out to them for the first time ever.
Got it.
Other than that, we will see you all next week on Monday. Be prepared for another jam-packed show. And shout out to all the NBA players who may or may not appear on next week's